2020 has been an incredibly rough year for everybody. The COVID winter and spring created an unemployment and an urban crisis for impoverished families, increasing the number of homeless. The unrest that happened here in Minneapolis happened right on East Lake Street, where we've been ministering for 25 years. The fallout is just a few blocks north of the lake in Nicollet. The Source response in June was to provide 100 tons of food from the Lake Street Kmart to continue to provide homeless meals. July and August, we continued that response with 50 tons of food for each of those months. We could not have done this without our network of congregations and volunteers responding at an incredible quick rate. We had a week to plan our first outreach where we gave over 20 tons of food away. And I just want to say thank you. And as you hear of what Source has done since 1987, if you hear what Source has done this last year, this last summer, I want you not just to think about the staff you've seen in this video, but the hundreds, literally hundreds, if not thousands of volunteers that have put in hours to South Minneapolis, to the marginalized, to homeless youth, to women coming out of trafficking, to addicts that are in recovery, to impoverished families and the marginalized, and pouring into them to make a difference, to give hope and opportunity. Thank you very much. 2020 has represented incredible challenges for all of us, but also especially those that are impoverished, the immigrants, the homeless, the ones that are in need, that don't have assistance, that don't get a COVID check or an unemployment check, getting through this time with their families. The parents that I've talked to that are concerned that their teens are being lured into the gangs, drugs, women that are victimized by trafficking, we know goes hand in hand with poverty. And these are all the trappings that are faced with Minneapolis right now. As we get to the end of 2020, one of the most significant things for me is that it has not gone to normal. We still have record violence, record crime that has been happening through the fall and into the beginning of the winter. But that's not uncommon when urban areas go through an unrest like Minneapolis has gone through. And our significance of, you've heard about Lake Street 22, is looking at the next 2 years and us wanting to continue what we've been able to do with our partners, but also build off that and look at the next 2 years as a significant foundational time for the future for decades for Minneapolis. Opportunity and hope is a significant thing that Source has always done. And the idea that we would bring physical needs, give people practical opportunities to become stable and on their feet, but also a message of hope of God's love and forgiveness for those who desire prayer and spiritual counsel and a spiritual community to grow in. And as we go forward, we were able to do a significant thing in 2020 because of our location, happening right on our doorstep, of the impact historically that we've had with the marginalized, but also with our partners. And as we go forward, our heart is that we would see the next couple years, 21 and 22, have that impact. How do you prepare for 2020? Well, if someone says they have prepared for 2020, you should question them. Of course, no one can foresee what's happening. But unknowing to us, we believe that God really did prepare us. Part of our 2020 story is in 18 months ago, in the beginning of 2019, we felt led to increase and expand our food distribution. And we had circled the spring, summer of 2020 to do that over a year before that. And we had done significant building projects to increase our occupancy of the Urban Arts Center that had been there for 20 years. And we just got our final inspection done the middle of March. And just before we were going to open that up, the shelter in place came in just a little more than a week after that. And at first, that confused us. But then within a couple of weeks, we ended up being able to use the facility to make thousands of meals every week and 10,000 meals a month and distribute them because of those renovations. A couple months later, in the middle of May, we finished our food shelf and second harvest inspections, and we had circled the beginning of June, first weekend of June. We were going to increase our food shelf. Well, the riots, the unrest came at the end of May, and that first weekend, instead of from our Urban Arts Center, we were at the Lake Street Kmart parking lot. And through that month, we gave over 100 tons of produce and groceries away. Hundreds of partners joined us in doing that effort. But that couldn't have happened if we didn't have our food shelf inspections and all that done ahead of time. And so we just see that as a time of preparation, but we also see that we've been able to make a significant impact that we so hardly want to continue. We want to continue and we want to build on that. And now what we're asking our partners to do that have been faithful for so many years is to see 2021 and 22 as a significant time. So as we go into the end of 2020 and we go into the next year, we want to invite you to continue to invest in Source with resources, invest in Source with time and energy, invest in Source with spreading the word of what's happening. And please stay connected with what we're doing. I want to finish by saying thank you once again for those who invested in the past with Source, who've been a part of this last year, 2020. We could not be here without our partners in making a significant impact and difference. And I want to end by just challenging those to continue to invest with prayers, with resources, with support and time for these next 2 years, right here, right now. Be a part of the rebuilding and restoration that'll make an impact for decades to come. Thank you.